Welcome to the Tuesday stream. Hope everyone's having an awesome Tuesday morning. Oh boy, do we have quite the amount of headlines to go over. Ooh. And also super excited for the upcoming long weekend. Hey, Madame DeForge, how's it going? Hope you're doing alright. Alright, folks, we we definitely got a couple of we definitely got some ground to cover. So let me go ahead and just start it here. Doing great, thanks. That's awesome to hear. I'm glad, Madame Defarge. All right. So last night or yesterday evening, the House of Representatives decided to pass the measure to increase the stimulus checks to $2,000 instead of the measly $600. Obviously, better than $600. In a vote of 275 to 134. The House of Representatives on Monday passed a measure to increase the stimulus checks for Americans under a certain income level to $2,000 after President Trump championed the effort, sending the bill to the Senate where its future is less certain. Now that's where this story goes, right? Because this is going to put the Republican GOP in the Senate in a very, very, very precarious situation, to say the least, right? Because the president, for whatever reason, it doesn't really matter, is supporting this $2,000 check. Maybe he thinks it's going to give him an advantage. Maybe he believes that it's going to help bring support for him to remain in power. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Who knows? But either way, Donald Trump has shown a lot of support for this $2,000 upgrade, right? And the Senate GOP, the normal standard, I guess, establishment GOP, I guess you could say, like the Mitch McConnells, are not really in favor of this. So that's going to look really, really bad if the House passed this, Donald Trump supports this, and then Mitch McConnell torpedoes the bill, right? It's going to look really bad. And it might actually put the Senate in a precarious situation, because then all of a sudden this can be turned around and say, no, it's not that guy's fault. It's Mitch McConnell and the GOP in the Senate. Why would you vote for Loeffler and Perdue when they're not delivering? The legislation, which passed with the 275 to 134 vote, comes a day after Trump signed a sweeping coronavirus relief bill into law Sunday evening. That measure, which was negotiated on a bipartisan support, provides for $600 in direct payments, but after a deal was brokered and passed out of Congress, Trump railed against the amount was too low and called for 2,000 checks instead, prompting the House Democrats to push for an increase. Democrats have seized on Trump's 11th hour complaint over the direct payments in a bid to push congressional Republicans to accept a higher amount, forcing GOP lawmakers to decide whether or not to defy the president, after many have argued that the overall cost of the stimulus package should not rise too high. Hey, Alio, how's it going? When and if the Senate will consider the measure is uncertain. The Senate Democratic leader, Chuck Schumer of New York, announced Monday that he planned to try and quickly pass the measure in a GOP-led chamber through requesting a unanimous consent agreement, which can be blocked by any senator who opposes. Why would you do this, though? This makes no sense. Absolutely no sense. I hope you're doing alright, Alio. Following the strong bipartisan vote in the House tomorrow, we'll move to pass the legislation in the Senate quickly. And deliver Americans with $2,000 emergency checks, or survival checks probably would be a better rhetorical statement. Every Senate Democrat is for this much-needed increase in emergency financial relief, which can be approved tomorrow if no Republican blocks it. There's no good reason for Senate Republicans to stand in the way. Yeah, like, okay, so this is kind of like, I don't know. I just don't think that bringing it up for unanimous consent is the right way. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong in the electoral sense. I would just bring it up for a vote, period. And Senator Bernie Sanders, a Vermont independent, has threatened to delay a crucial vote to override Trump's veto on a defense bill unless the Senate holds a vote on the 2,000 checks, which we will kind of, I guess, transition into the next article, which is exactly this is kind of like a perfect outline of what's been happening yesterday evening, all the way up until the House passing the bill, and now the propositions that are being said. So yes, this is true. Bernie Sanders is threatening to hold up the defense bill budget veto override if they don't put these $2,000 checks up for a vote. No problem, Alio. Bernie Sanders to delay defense veto override a bid for $2,000 checks. Now they put here, again, I said this before, but they put, this is turning into a move that could undermine the Senate race for Republicans. You hear that Breonna Taylor's memorial got vandalized? This is turning into a good day. Like, what do you mean? Are you happy about that? Because, man, you know, I heard that one of these Robert E. Lee statues got taken down, and that was a good day. That was a great day. The fuck out of here with that bullshit. The move could undermine Republican senators competing in the Georgia runoff. Senator Bernie Sanders will filibuster and override... Senator Bernie Sanders will filibuster an override of President Trump's defense veto bill unless the Senate holds a vote on providing 2,000 direct payments to Americans. McConnell and the Senate want to expedite the override vote, and I understand that, but I'm not going to allow that to happen unless there's a vote, no matter how long it takes, on the 2,000 direct payments. The Vermont Independent can't ultimately stop the veto override, but he can delay it until New Year's Day and make things more difficult for the GOP. The House passed the payment boost sought by Trump and Democratic leaders on Monday evening, and Trump said that the Senate has agreed to start the process on a stimulus vote when he signed a $900 billion relief bill. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has yet to address the timing of such a vote. Don't forget New TOS on January 22nd. True. Under Senate rules, Sanders has the ability to keep the chamber in during the holiday week and likely mess with the campaign schedules of Senator David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler. Yes, I think he should absolutely do this. Those two face January 5th runoff races. By the way, if you are in Georgia or know somebody in Georgia, please keep in mind that there's very important Senate runoff races happening January 5th. There's already early voting that's been happening. Please make sure that your registration is good to go if you plan to do it in person. Please make sure that you do what you have to do to plan ahead and bring in all the personal protective equipment that you need, masks and social distancing, anything that you need. Make sure that you plan for this. If you need to take the day off, please plan for this ahead of time. There's about a week left ish. No, less than a week. Less than a week. So please make any necessary any necessary planning as soon as possible. Against Democrats John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, who are both campaigning on the 2000 checks. A source close to Sanders said the Senate races were a factor in his decision, a part of a bid to keep Perdue and Loeffler in D.C. and focus the campaign on their position regarding the 2000 checks. Sanders also threatened to shut down the government earlier this month if the coronavirus bill did not include direct payments. Ultimately, it included up to $600, and the government stayed open, though now Trump wants to go much higher. Hey, Kalios, how's it going? And yes, that's true. Can you tell me why Oxford University thinks COVID is not a big deal? I don't know, Kalios. Email, Twitch, and Streamlabs OBS admitted there are issues. Yeah, I bet. Though veto overrides can be filibustered, as Sanders plans to do, it is a rare procedural move because the veto override already requires 67 votes, and the filibuster is simply a delay tactic, according to Congressional Research Service. Yeah, but this is an important thing. Hey, Kalios, do you have anything else to do? Do you have like anything better to do? Thanks for the tier 1 sub, Madam Faraj. Honestly, Kalios, do you have anything better to do with your life? Tell me, how does it feel to wake up in the morning and being so, Tell me, how does it feel to wake up every morning and have the energy to come into a random stream, just a random small stream, and start like calling people names? Yeah, that's true. That's true, Hazy. It's definitely using what you can. I mean, again, Bernie Sanders is like only one person. Make sure you don't say anything negative about him, or they'll cut off your bribes. Ha 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 ha. Again, imagine having this much time on your hands. Don't you have like anything else to do? Oh no, it's a COVID denier. True. It's very looking smooth. That's funny. Sanders hopes Said he hopes McConnell allows a vote on the check on Wednesday. The American people are desperate, and the Senate has got to do its job before leaving town. It'd be unconscionable, especially after the House did the right thing for the Senate, simply to leave Washington without voting on this. Well, you know, it's not exactly unheard of. Anywho. Nearly 500,000 people may have had COVID in Wuhan. A new study shows that's almost 10 times the official figure. Yeah, dang. It's nearly 500,000 residents in the Chinese city where the novel coronavirus first emerged has been infected with COVID-19, almost 10 times its official number of confirmed cases, according to a study by the Chinese CDC and Prevention. The study used a sample of 34,000 people in the general population of Wuhan, the original epicenter of the pandemic, and other cities in Hubei province has Beijing, Shanghai, and other provinces of Guangdong, uh, Sichuan, Liaoning to estimate COVID-19 infection rates. Yeah, it turns out that, wow, it was actually pretty bad. They had no idea. Goodbye. Yeah, okay, so these people have nothing better to do, so what they do is just sea lion, they're just asking questions, bro. Like, and then they gaslight you like, "Oh, why are you mad, bro?" "Oh, I'm just trying to respond to a point, bro." Yeah, no point in engaging with these people. Is anyone surprised? No. The Chinese CDC said the study was conducted a month after China contained the first wave of COVID-19. The prevalence rate out of Wuhan is significantly lower, the study shows. In other cities, Hubei, only 0.44% of the residents surveyed and were found to have no. Well, I'm lost. Only 0.44% of the residents surveyed were found to have coronavirus antibodies. Outside the province, antibodies were only detected in 2 people among the 12,000 residents surveyed. The results of the study were revealed in the Chinese CDC post on social media. It did not mention whether the study has been published in academic journals. So basically, it seems like the again, like I'm pretty sure that trying to address this, you know, unprecedented pandemic, they probably didn't realize just how deep it went. And now that they're doing studies, are realizing, oh boy, was this worse. And it makes sense though, right? Well, I thought it was gonna waste your time to have a genuine conversation when he's yeah, like exactly. Like I was gonna like just insta ban, but you know. These people just have nothing better to do. This is the first time I've begun to honestly question the CDC as early on. Like in March, they assured that the workers closely with Chinese team, no research that they got from. Well, yeah, but like the thing is, it could also be the fact that it could also be the fact that they didn't realize how bad it is, and they also thought that they contained it. So on the outside, they kind of said everything's fine. You know, everything is fine, nothing to see here, and they thought they could honestly contain it. And now they realized, who was it way worse than we thought. When now studies are coming out saying, yeah, this is probably a lot. Like, yeah, they probably said like, okay, well, maybe it's not that bad. Maybe we got this based on the initial like outbreak, and then they realized they don't got this, and then started, panicking or going forth, being forthcoming. I feel like someone in our CDC probably knew the reality. Well, we can only go based on what we had at the time, right? And what we had at the time was, this is going to be a problem. We need to start hitting this now. The actual health professionals or scientists or the people who know what they're talking about, epidemiologists. Thank you for the follow, Tweeb. The actual epidemiologist knew the potential of how this could be, of how bad this could be. The only thing is like, again, we could only gather the information that we had, and we knew that it was a bad thing coming. We just didn't know how bad it was, potentially, I think. But either way, the information was there enough for us to have for us to have an adequate response. It's also worth noting that some of the functions of the CDC got collapsed by the Trump administration. Yep, that's also true. So it's like we have a whole bunch of we might have had a whole different playing field if we had a competent administration as well. Something got done to it. Yes, the original pandemic response team that was done during the Obama era was disbanded early on in the Trump administration. So now when we actually needed one, it wasn't there. And a lot of budgets got reshifted and reallocated to different areas. So yeah, things did happen to the CDC. We also have a government who is unwilling to acknowledge the severity of it. And hey, how's it going, Stuka? Hope you're doing all right. What's good this week in your world? Just hoping to relax in this long weekend coming up. I am still salty that I have to work New Year's Eve, because, like, what's the point? So I am still salty that we're working New Year's Eve, but hey, at least we get a long weekend and, we get to chill. Hey, thanks for the sub, Prime. Problem solved, Drew. They only passed the number by fudging it to include test sent out as having been completed. Yeah. This is all part of the... I don't know. Is it like ego? What exactly did they... What do you achieve by saying like everything is fine when it's clearly not, right? Like, what exactly are you achieving? Because you do realize if you downplay all of this, the resources and the solutions become harder to overcome, right? In the future. Where are you from? I'm from here. Right here. Corporate Dems had to put up here. Yeah, but this is like 2016 though. I know. Once he says something like 100k tests by X date, they look weak if they buckle on it. Yeah. I don't know. It's like, it makes no sense to have this type of bravado during a unprecedented situation. Sad. Yeah, so in an unprecedented situation where you're navigating waters such as these, I don't know, I don't know why you would put ego and bravado and in front of trying to get people taken care of. Do you like private healthcare? Heck no. There's absolutely no valid reason as to why private healthcare should be a thing. Unless it's like a supplemental plan. Unless you're like trying to argue for like supplemental things that, you can add on later. There's actually no real reason as to why private insurance should exist. In fact, it's kind of like false advertising to call it insurance, right? Because I heard this argument, and I think that this is probably the best rhetorical argument. Is like it shouldn't even be called insurance. You're not. So when you have like stuff like car insurance, you're covering yourself in case something bad happens, right? In case you don't really expect it to happen, but if it does, your insurance will cover you, right? When it comes to healthcare, you will need you will need healthcare, right? This isn't a matter of, oh well, I'm just gonna hope that I never use it. You will need healthcare. You will grow old. You will get sick at one point. It's just not like it shouldn't even be called insurance. It's a racket, to be honest. NHS is good. Everyone gets treatment here in Scotland. Well, must be nice. I have heard terrible things about NHS emergency room times. I mean, have you heard the horrible things that happen here, Halcyon? That's not really a good argument. Have you heard the terrible wait times in emergency rooms here? Exactly. So, like, that's my point. There should be no real argument as to why we should have a as to why we shouldn't have a universal system. Because it's like it's not only that much different in terms of, like, you know, it's not only that much different, but like you pay a whole boatload of extra for absolutely no difference in terms of like no like discernible difference in terms of like wait times or even like care, to be quite honest. It's just paying more money. Wow. 2.5 hours. I'm sorry to hear that, Stupka. I moved from the US to UK and I miss the NHS so bad. I don't have healthcare here as I work freelance. I also think it's good to explore how public healthcare can be better. Oops. I've waited for 12 hours in the ER. Yikes. And it is in other countries because we can easily afford to provide public healthcare, but I think we can hit a higher bar than the UK. I mean, like, we obviously, you know, as Mono pointed out, like 10 years of like Tory, you know, rule has kind of like destroyed the NHS. But there is a very like there is a super strong argument to have some type of NHS rather than what we have here. So how do you adjust for that, Stupka? Do you just say we're gonna have like a treaty where drugs can't be above a certain price? I don't know how you would solve that. Yes, I know Wandering Pixels. They've been going at it for quite a while. That's very true. Yep, that's right. Best thing I've heard is from Destiny. You pay a company X million dollars to develop a drug, and then you let anyone manufacture it. There you go. Boom. So you pay like the cost essentially of what it takes to research that for the development, and You pay the cost, and then ban him. Somebody ban him. So then you basically, what you do is say, okay, we're gonna give you X money to make this, and then that's it. Everybody gets to manufacture it, right? Because these are two different things: the development of the drug and the manufacturing of said drug. Okay, maybe I could do something like that. Maybe I could argue for something like that. So the government would be the you know, the one to do this, right? The government would say, okay, we're giving I don't know, quick Moderna, we're giving you X. You develop this drug, and then that's it. You get the money for the development, and you move it. That way, the U.S. government is subsidizing the costs instead of those. Yeah. Imagine keeping the details. Right. So you would solve that problem by saying, okay, the development is covered, and then the manufacturing and production is what gets to be unlimited, right? It gets to be done by anybody. Right. That's why you say the government says, all right, we're gonna give you X to develop said drug. It's basically like saying, okay, it's basically like saying, all right, I need you to develop a new software. I need you to develop a new software, and I'm gonna pay you X, and then like that's it. The software is done, and then anybody else can use it, right? Because you don't have any anything to do with it after that point. U.S. is gouged on drug prices as much as development is highly subsidized. To a point, yes. Honestly, I think Trump had this one kind of right. What do you mean? Have like an international treaty where you say you can't charge more than what you sell to other countries or something? I don't know. Maybe like these are things that I'm not really qualified to talk about. All I know is this: there's absolutely no reason why we should be paying just this excess amount of money for life-saving drugs. There's absolutely no reason why we should move towards some type of universal healthcare system. I mean, even just doing that could possibly help with reducing drug prices, right? Can't sell it cheaper elsewhere, especially if we subsidize. Gotcha. Yes, we do. Um, I'm thinking like, I'm thinking next Thursday. I might actually be down around like just the usual stream time. Next Thursday. When is next Thursday? The 7th. Ooh. Yeah. And I think I'm actually off. Wait. So 5, 6, 7, 8. I think I'm off those 4 days. Yeah. Alright, remind me on Discord. But I'm off 5, 6, 7, 8. So any of those should probably work, and I would be able to stream in a longer format than my normal 2.5 hours or 2 hours and 20 minutes. Yeah. Actually, that might actually be perfect. 5, 6, 7, 8. That should be the days that I'm off. Just remind me on Discord so I don't forget. The people have spoken. I also think we need to look at things like incidence, established cholesterol drugs differently than we look at drugs for genetic conditions. Yeah, maybe. If any other topics would be of interest, absolutely. I think that like some of the things that I would be interested in, since you're kind of like in that area, I think that what I would really be interested in is talking about how we could get to a point where these prices are affordable, and where the issue is coming from, right? In terms of like some are overpriced when they don't really need to be, and we need to make things like, as cases all said, if someone has a rare genetic condition, um, Jesus Christ, the drugs might for something like this might be quadrillion dollars, because it's only because it's a rare pool of people that are actually going to buy this. So like this kind of makes it like, dang, uh, should we really be screwing like those people? No, obviously not. Drug sells about 100K a year as a generic, right? And like that who has 100K a year, right? And especially as a generic. I mean, I think that there's got to be a different way of making this better, right? Making this accessible. If you don't have insurance, I mean, again, insurance shouldn't even be a thing. Like, how does somebody who potentially needs this, like, what do they do? She breaks it down very simply. And why don't other companies sell the generic to drive down the price? Yeah, you see, like these type of things would be the conversations I would like to have. Like, how do we really get to the solutions to this, right? Because like, is there a system that is possible to deploy where the government can take on some of these specialized like drugs that are for rare diseases or something like that? It's an orphan drug, not profitable for most, right? So like when it gets to this situation where it's not like quote unquote profitable, like so then that kind of brings up another problem, right? Like why should it be why should that matter? There's people that like really need this drug right now. So if it comes down to that, why can't the government play a part in it and saying, okay, we're going to buy up all of this, and we're going to buy up the we're going to buy up all of this and get the drug out to the people that need it, because that's it. No, I think what Stupka is saying, that what they're saying is like it's literally a generic. So the problems are much deeper, right? And I don't even know how I would begin with that, right? Again, for these type of drugs, the government should step in and say, listen, obviously people need this, and 100K, how about we buy it off all of you? How about we just buy it off? We be your supplier or buyer, right? And just, that's it. Pay the thing. What is PBMs? Oh. Pharmacy benefit manager. Eminent domain refers to the power of the government to take private property and convert it into public use. The Fifth Amendment provides the government may only exercise this power if they provide just compensation to the property owners. In this case, the property is intellectual properties of drugs. Yeah, that could be a thing. It's expensive to do safety and efficacy up front, so why doesn't like the government take care of that? In the why doesn't we have like a embedded into, for example, like some type of universal healthcare system in that type of budget? You say, okay, we're gonna have a drug plan where we pony up because we already tallied this up in our budget. We pony up for this, and just get these things out to the people that need them, right? So like you would have some type of like Medicaid or Medicare for all, and have a within that system you set aside a budget to pony up for whatever expenses for making this happen, right? Because again, I'm not like too knowledgeable, but I think that I can understand it enough to say, okay, wait a minute. If the problem seems to be the expenses of getting it up and running to do safety and efficacy up front, then maybe they should just like take care of that. My point is, the drugs need to get to the point is that the drug needs to get to the people, and I don't think that those who can't afford it shouldn't have it, right? So like that's my point. That's my point. Like it shouldn't be based. It should you shouldn't be denied a drug or a treatment because you didn't have the money to pay for it. That's what I'm saying. No way McConnell's gonna let this go through. He'll hold us hostage until his skin fully molds. Well, then there's that, right? Then there's the political will to actually make this happen. But I do want to have this conversation. So please hit me up, Stupka, January 5th through 8th. Any one of those dates, I will be off, so I can spend a good amount of time going back and forth about this, right? And maybe learn a couple of things as well. All right. In January, in failure to so underreported coronavirus infections. Yang Song Huang, senior fellow for global health at the Council for Relations, said the study points to a problem of underreporting in infections during the height of the outbreak in Wuhan, partly due to the chaos at the time and failure to include asymptomatic cases in the official count of confirmed cases. Yeah, because they didn't know. Like this is like this is this is monumental failure on a lot of different levels because again, I mean, part of it may have been just ego. Part of it may have just been ego saying, you know, everything's fine, nothing to worry about here. Part of it is they didn't know how bad or how widespread the asymptomatic cases were originally. Jesus. In January and February, patients with fevers flooded Wuhan hospitals, which lacked the manpower, testing kits, and medical resources to diagnose and treat them. Instead, many were told to go home and self-isolate. Some ended up infecting other family members. Others died at home without even being recorded in the COVID-19 death tolls. Yeah, this was a this is a problem in a lot of places. Underreporting is a problem faced by health authorities in many countries, often due to lack of capacity and resources. Antibody studies conducted by researchers in other parts of the world also showed the coronavirus was much more prevalent than official numbers suggest. Right, so what Doc Midnight was saying is absolutely correct. In fact, a lot of the numbers are underreported, right? Hey, GoPly, how's it going? Up to 500 gig external SSD. Nice. Oh my god. I do need an external SSD. That's true. Jesus, Mono. Hey, whatever floats your boat. Hey, no kink shaming here. Yeah, we did. There shall be no trolls here. Hey, we got rid of the troll, yeah. Mono gave him the good old boop. You beat me to it. True. I can't use the excuse that I don't have, that I don't make anything because I don't have the space for it anymore, though. True, there you go. Found some SSD drives and laptops on Amazon. Yeah, we got a, hey, Think Zeke, we got a little bit of a nonsense sea lion. Gotta run, have a meeting, have a great day. Thank you so much for stopping by, Stupka. I really appreciate that. Thank you. And definitely, I'll be adding you on Discord to see what we can do. Yeah, it's pretty much tame. Yeah, I mean, like, in terms of, like, trolls, it can get worse than that, I guess you could say. His name definitely was Kalios. That's right, Zeke. But I mean, come on. Like, you're coming in here, first of all, calling another person a name and just not being, like, you know, come on. To be fair, democracy does suck. I know, Mono. I know you're the one that wants to be in charge. I know that you're the one that wants to be in charge. Why does my vote to carry down the roses? Because we live in a society, Mono. Okay? We're trying to have a society here. That was the first for me. I've never been called a name. Well, you're pretty awesome, Madame Defarge. No, you're pretty awesome. I don't see why anybody should be calling you a name. Any name whatsoever. Is that what they call this? Oh, man. A study sponsored by the New York State Department of Health, for example, showed that by the end of March, 1 in 7 New York adults had COVID-19, about 10 times higher than the official account. Yeah, because they didn't realize just how much just how much asymptomatic people there were. I think that, like, why are you? I mean, like people don't realize that this was a very unprecedented, you know, pandemic that we've never dealt with, and I guess they didn't realize just how many were asymptomatic. In China, there's also a question of transparency, as official gave the public more optimistic data than they had access to internally. Yeah, that's kind of the problem there. But so did a lot of countries, to be quite honest. But I guess there's responsibility as the epicenter of the breakout, you know, for you to be as upfront as possible. Yeah, just don't call people names. How about that? True. kind of good and bad to have so many asymptomatic people. Complex picture that Chosen want to think about. Yeah. So like, yeah. So like, I have no idea why there's so much fixation on the death rate of COVID when in reality it's just so much more than that. You do realize that people spend days in the hospital in the ICU beds. Not only that, it's a highly contagious disease. It's a highly contagious disease that you have to shut down whole hospital wings just to make sure that you keep these people as isolated as possible so that the other patients can get treated for, non-COVID stuff. And then there's the issue of, God forbid, you have an emergency that doesn't involve COVID. Guess what? There's all the ICU beds taken up. Not only that, let's say you did survive your bout with COVID. You spent a couple of days in the ICU. You made it. Great. Guess what? Now you have lung scarring. Now you have kidney problems. In some cases, you have neurological problems and a myriad of other stuff that we don't know about, that we haven't really fully grasped yet. And again, I would highly recommend you guys speak to Doc Midnight about this, but there are permanent side effects to this. Exactly, Madame Defarge. It's creating a population of disabled people with long-term effects. Yeah, that's another thing. It's like, I mean, exactly, Mono. Because if you didn't die, that means you're perfectly fine. Correct. Ooh, nice. Nice. Not too bad either. Oof. 74 pounds. Nice. USB 3.2. We have totally under control. It's one. Okay, hold on. We have totally under control. It's one person in, coming from China. It's gonna be just fine. Looks like by April, in theory, when it gets a little warmer, it miraculously goes away. The coronavirus is very much under control in the USA. Stock market looking very good to me. Right, exactly, Mono. So yeah, Doc's initial thing about him saying that this is actually a lot worse than we think is 100% true. Which leads me to, I guess, transition into this. The TSA screened highest number of travelers since pandemic began. Why? The Transportation Security Administration screened 1,284,599 people at airport checkpoints in the US on Sunday. This was the Oh, cool. Nice. Just in time for New Year's. It's the highest number of travelers that TSA has recorded since COVID pandemic was declared in March. It's also the 6th day in the last 10 that more than 1 million people have flown. More than 1 million people have flown, suggesting a high number of people are traveling for the holidays despite the CDC urging Americans to stay home to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. The TSA screened 2,575,985 people at the checkpoints on the same weekday last year per the agency data, so about half. Number of COVID-19 infections confirmed in the US surpassed 19 million on Sunday per Johns Hopkins. US death toll stands at over 333,000, means that roughly 1 in every 1,000 people in the US has died from the virus. Cool. Yeah, this is absolutely absurd. Ridiculous. I can't even find the words for it. Just realized that simply quoting 45 could violate Twitch's new TOS. Why would that be? Screening is almost entirely useless. Asymptomatics, anyone who Took a fever reducer to anyone who lies, which never happens, of course. Right, like that one dude, who actually died of COVID while on the flight, while on the plane, exposing. Oh, good lord, that was because he lied about his symptoms, or he lied about his positive test, or whatever it is. Our local research college started studying wastewater for the coronavirus to find a correlation on illness in the community. I mean, is it possible to find virus in the wastewater? I heard that that's possible. I'm not gonna confirm that. I have no idea. Knew to come down hard on sexist derogatory remarks. Yeah. That's true. As long as you don't quote those remarks from as long as you don't quote those remarks. Not like it matters, given that Trump has consistently broken TOS already. Yeah, I mean, are we gonna start placing bets as to how quickly he's gonna get yeeted off Twitter? How long do you think he's gonna last on Twitter? After I got COVID, I continued to smoke weed. I started having some small breathing and clearing throat, tight chest issues. I'm gonna have to start smoking for the time being. Yeah, probably a good idea. Maybe switch to edibles. So yeah, this is absolutely abhorrent. Why is there 1,284,599 people at airport checkpoints around the US right before New Year's? Because you know what's going to happen in a couple of weeks. What, 3 or 4 weeks from now, we're going to see a huge spike, and I'm guessing about 10 to 14 days. Here, all celebrities and rich people just went to Dubai. Nice. Yeah, my experience with making them, Madame Defarge, was not good. Because I did not know. We were not yeah. Let's just put it this way. It was bad, okay? Because we thought we had this, trying to like make a edible cake. We did not have this. It was, I mean, granted, we were pretty young, so we thought we could just bake, bake a cake and make it, and make what essentially Thick Zeke says, can of butter, but we didn't make it properly. We did not make it properly. Oh, I see. The virus sheds and ends up in wastewater. When does it mean having someone that's part of public health already? Now, could it spread because of that? I suppose it can, but I don't know. So yeah, this is absolutely abhorrent. Stay home if you don't have to travel. Please stay home. Please, your family gatherings. Try to limit your family gatherings. Please, social distancing. Please wear your mask. Jesus. Why would you take an airplane in a tight area is beyond me. Right, that's what I'm saying, Mono. Like, I don't know if it could spread unless, you know, hypothetically consume wastewater. Resident old guy here. Back in my day, we needed to make our own edibles. I remember making the butter and then making the brownies. Yeah, see, we thought we could do that, but we were completely wrong, K-Sizzle. The point is just to track it because, not because, oh, I see. I knew that. See, that's why you don't let me do, that's why I leave it to the professionals. It boosts your immune system. Oh, man. All right, this headline, this article is abhorrent. It's ridiculous. It just doesn't make sense. Please listen to the healthcare professionals. Which again transitions into this: WHO urges vaccinated travelers to take coronavirus precautions. The WHO chief scientist, WHO chief scientist Soima Swaminathan told a virtual briefing that Monday that people who have been vaccinated for COVID-19 need to take the same precautions as those who haven't, since they're still who haven't, till there's a certain level of herd immunity. Right. I don't believe that we have enough evidence of on any of the vaccines to be confident it's going to prevent people from actually getting the infection and therefore being able to pass it on. So please, you know, as we get a as we get more and more information on the efficacies and more information on these vaccines that are rolling out, please treat it as if please treat it as if it's still going on, right? Every time someone says back in my day, I'm always saying, bro, you're alive now. Hey Ben, how's it going? Unironically, we live in a shipping container. Hey, some of them, some of those like miniature houses that are built out of shipping containers can actually get to look really nice. Just don't be the next user. Hey, Lord Fridas, how's it going? I just want to make a business out of shipping container apartments. That could, that is a thing. People build like tiny houses, I think. There you go, Tigzy. That is actually a thing. Some of those miniature housings, or miniature houses, or tiny houses, whatever they're called, they actually look really decent. And they're essentially what would be the size of a apartment. Hey, Chai Bureaucrat, it's going. How are you? I'm chilling. Ready Renter 1. I'm talking about modular inner city luxury apartments. That's right, Rix. There are 6 vacant homes for every 1 homeless in the US. That is also true. With shared services like kitchens and bathrooms. Interesting. Like a community, like a housing, like co-op kind of deal. I've been looking hard at earthbag houses. What is an earthbag house? Is it like a earthly sustainable one? It's like luxury dorms for adults. Interesting. A new meaning on another brick in the wall. True. So, the point to take from this article is, please take the health professionals' advice seriously. Just because we have the initial rollouts of the vaccine, first of all, we haven't even vaccinated nearly enough to even begin to think about herd immunity. Second of all, we don't exactly know 100% how this works with the transmissibility of the virus. Like you may be vaccinated, but you could still give it, if I'm correct. So like, it's going to prevent pregnancy, therefore being able to pass it on is exactly what I'm worried about. So please just continue to take this seriously, and we'll continue to get more data and move from there. Oh, it's just like literally bags of dirt. Interesting. Oh, that's so cool. Ah, what? Isn't that nice? I like that. It's a little cute little tiny house. I like it. Earthquake, flood, and bullet resistant home? What? That's amazing. I donated blood last Tuesday and tested negative for antibodies, for COVID antibodies, so I haven't had it yet. Nice. Well, whew. Interesting. 11 per square foot. Wow. That's not bad. Good news. Judge reverses Georgia voter purge after 4,000 people wrongly struck from polls. Again, if you live in Georgia or know people who live in Georgia, please advise them to take a look, make sure the registration is good to go, make a plan. It's less than a week away if you plan to go vote in person. Please take whatever precautions that you need to do, and yeah. More than 4,000 people in 2 Georgia counties were wrongly removed from voter rolls ahead of next week's Senate runoff elections. And please, if you are check your registration in case this happened to you. Again, if you're in Georgia or know somebody in Georgia. Ahead of next week's Senate runoff elections, a federal judge has ruled. In her decision, Judge Leslie Abrams Gardner said that the counties had used unverified change of address data to invalidate registrations, and all of those who were struck from voter rolls must be reinstated. The vast majority of those registrations came from Muskogee County, which, according to Politico, leaned heavily towards President-elect Joe Biden in November. A few hundred came from Ben Hill County, which President Trump carried last month. Democratic Party attorney Mark Elias hailed the judge's decision as a blow to GOP voter suppression. Judge Gardner is the sister of top Democrat Stacey Abrams, whose voter registration efforts in Georgia is widely credited with winning the state for Biden. Yeah, so no, I don't want notifications. So yeah, 4,000 people were wrongly removed, and this happens this is standard procedure for Georgia. Georgia's notorious for this. Minecraft has taught me everything I need to know. Georgia's kind of notorious for this, so please, again, this is very important. If you know somebody, or if you are in Georgia, please be aware of this. January 5th, get the vote out. And COVID, yeah, lack of leadership. A lot of things. Alright, folks. So, I saw a retweet from the Gravel Institute, and oh man, was I not aware of this. We have to turn our attention to PragerU once again. I generally just don't listen to PragerU or really care for anything that they have to say. But there are 2 things that I want to go over, and I even retweeted this just so that I wouldn't forget. I know someone in Georgia, Max, is on Warnock's campaign team. Hey, there you go. Oh man. I heard that this is going to be an unprecedented turnout for a senatorial race in Georgia. We'll see what happens there. As far as I can tell, the last polls were virtually a statistical tie, so who knows what's going to happen. Yep, that's right, Alley Cat. I was not aware of this until Gravel Institute retweeted this. Yep. Yep. I really want to know who I really want to know who like approved this, right? There's like somebody somewhere had to be like, yeah, this is totally cool. This is totally cool. Oh yeah, he did. I gotta watch that breakdown. Take break or you off? I know, but we got to go over this. I know we have to go over this. I'm sorry. Okay.
Who was Robert E. Lee?
Who was Robert E. Lee? I'll tell you. He was a traitorist. He was a traitor to the Union who, instead of, because they even explained he had the option of fighting for the Union, but instead fought for the Confederacy, which we all know the Civil War was about slavery 100%. So he fought on the side, he had a choice and consciously made a choice to fight on the side that wanted to preserve slavery. That's who Robert E. Lee was.
Statues of great historical figures.
Great
Robert
historical
E. Lee
figures.
Are being torn down across America. Here are some facts about Lee that remind us why his statue should remain. Robert
Tell
E.
us.
Lee was connected to George Washington through his father.
Nope. Nobody cares?
Light Horse Harry Lee, Washington's cavalry commander, and his wife, Martha Washington's great-granddaughter.
Okay.
Lee's home at Arlington House was just 10 miles from Washington's Mount Vernon. Today,
Objection. Relevance?
it is the site of Arlington National Cemetery. After 30 years of military service, Lee led U.S. Marines to crush the attempted slave rebellion by radical abolitionist John Brown.
Okay. 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 So let me get this right. This is the best thing about Breaking It Down. It's 2 minutes. Even the Zoomers can watch the whole thing, and it's mixed mass off, so it almost seems like a parody. Yeah, I see that. So your argument is because he put down a rebellion by an abolitionist. Think about that. That's who we need to venerate. That's who we need to idolize, and that's who we need to make sure that that's who we need to make sure is memorialized in a statue. By putting down a slave rebellion because they wanted to fight for their freedom. Steelman, he defended the Constitution from a radical. Yeah. I know, Jesus. There you go, Manu. Imagine being radical. Imagine being a radical abolitionist.
21 co-conspirators had seized a federal armory, and all of them were killed or captured, including John Brown, who was tried and hanged for treason.
Wow.
Lee deemed slavery a moral and political evil in any country.
So he absolutely followed that through by fighting for the side that wanted to preserve it. Okay. So you deemed it a moral and political evil in any country, but then you chose to fight for the side that wanted to preserve it and got big mad when they realized, like, maybe we shouldn't have slavery. And on top of that, again, you had the choice to command Union troops, and you chose not to.
But considered it a greater evil to the white man than to the black race, since blacks are immeasurably better off here than in Africa.
No. Um, um, I, uh, so, hold on. This, okay, so, this should have just been the thumbnail for the video. This should have been the thumbnail for the video. Like, why even bother to, why even bother to have any, like, masks or hide in any type of subtlety? Like, why? Like, this should have just been the title of the video. Why not? Why not? Why not? Since, quote, blacks are immeasurably better off here than in Africa. Right.
Opposing secession, Lee foresaw no greater calamity for the country than a dissolution of the Union. But when Virginia seceded in a close vote, Lee resigned his commission, despite offers to command Union forces.
Despite offers to command Union forces.
Lee opted to organize the defense of his native state.
To organize the defense of his native state. So, like, we realize what's happening, right? Like, we realize what's happening, right? This is so, like, this is by far the most charitable, completely twisted version of this person, right? Imagine opting, realizing what was happening, right? Because the U.S. was about to go into a civil war over, essentially slavery, right? That's just literally what happened. This is historically already concluded. And your options are to A, join the Union and command Union troops to stop the seditionists, the actual traitors, right? The actual traitors to the Union. Or you could organize the defense of your native state.
After 4 years as Confederate commander, Lee became an icon of reconciliation.
An icon of reconciliation.
As president of Virginia's Washington College, he favored education for freed slaves but opposed their right to vote. Lee died from a stroke in 1870 and is buried beneath Lee Chapel in what's now Washington and Lee University. His legendary warhorse Traveler rests in a plot nearby.
So all I heard was we should idolize a we should idolize and keep statues of this man because he led a he led federal forces to put down a slave rebellion, and then he fought for the Confederacy to preserve slavery. So that's why we should so that's why we should keep statues of this person. What? Like, what? This okay, so obviously this is like some really mask off white nationalist rhetoric. This was done by a white nationalist. Like, there's just no way. There's just no way. And then somebody had to greenlight this. There's absolutely no reason. Oh my goodness, Benjamin Dixon rating with a party of 24. Oh my goodness. Hey, how's it going? Wow. Thank you, Benjamin Dixon. Thank you so much. Wow. Whew. I don't know what to say. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you. Yeah, please give them a shout out, please. I'm actually speechless. Thanks for the follow, Benjamin Dixon. Oh man, thank you. I really appreciate that. I just want to say thank you, and thank you for all you do as well. I appreciate that. Oh man, bad streamer has nothing to say. True. No, no. Actually, I'm kind of shocked. Um, thank you. Yes, PragerU is where I got my doctorate in Slaveonomics and nationalist theory. Hey, all showing raid love. Thank you so much, Benjamin Dixon. Thank you. Thank you for the follow, Black Anarcho. Thanks for the follow, Anod Quinine. PragerU informed me that the left is why I'm bald. PragerU vid, good time to raid. Oh yeah. This one, if it wasn't for the Gravel Institute, I would honestly wouldn't even be in my radar, because I don't really care what they have to say. But this one was pretty bad. This one was pretty bad. So apparently, according to PragerU, we should idolize and keep statues of Robert E. Lee because he brutally put down a slave rebellion by radical abolitionist John Brown, and then we should also venerate him because even though oh my god, what a pause. Even though that he had the option of joining the Union and put down the traitors in the Confederacy, he chose to join the Confederacy. And I mean, the amount of like white nationalist rhetoric is I can't believe that somebody like unironically approved this. You can't make this stuff up. You really can't. To be fair, John Brown was pretty rad. True. Yeah, I think that quote is all we need. Yeah, there you go. Like basically, we can stop it here, right? We can stop it here. In fact, I was saying earlier that like PragerU should have probably just made that their thumbnail. I mean, I'm almost tempted to go into the comment section, but you know. A lot of people didn't know that the Confederacy was paying back the Native Americans before serving before the North. Oh yeah, so that's cool. That's totally why we should keep statues of a person who fought to preserve said slavery. Like, what are you talking about? Ever heard of the 1932 Bonus Army Rebellion in Washington, D.C.? 42,000 WWM veterans were protesting were forced in camps by bayonet and cavalry. Some military officers on the government side where Patton, MacArthur, Eisenhower just following orders. Yep. I don't know how you all grew up, but that pause screen right there is the kind of crap I learned in history class in public school. Really? Ooh. Yeah, Chai Bureaucrat. That's gonna be one heck of a yikes for me. I can't believe. I mean, that's what they. It's far too late to having this conversation or NDA for fiscal 2021. There's already Confederacy stuff slated to be removed. Well, that's good. What kind of argument is this, the Dagda? Hey, thanks for the follow, Soul Titan. What kind of argument is this? Thanks for the follow, you're lacking. Ah, yes. They were going to get rid of it after the war that they started to preserve it. What? Does that make sense? Think about that. Think about that logic. Ah, yes. Slavery was fading away in the South and was going to get rid of it after the war. So, in other words, they started a war to preserve it, but we were going to get rid of it afterwards? What? Does that even make sense? Like, listen to the type of logic that you're saying. Like, unironically, take a second and realize the comment that just came out of your fingers. All right, so we can't help you. I'm sorry. Like, there are literally historical, I guess, experts who have already said that this entire Civil War was indeed fought over slavery. We know that. And the idea that just because you don't like them, what are you talking about? We gave them 3 or 4 chances, and they just kept circling about. Like, what opposing view? This isn't an opposing view. You do know that, right? There's no opposing view of the opposing view of, let's say, the Earth is round to the Earth is flat, right? There's no opposing view. The Earth is round. So there is no opposing view as to why the Civil War happened. We know this from historical documentation that it was because of this, right? Thanks for a follow-up, be genius. All you have to know is that the Civil War was over slavery history declaration signed by those who joined the Confederacy. Right, it was in their documents. His argument is basically that they would have stopped using slaves. The machine became cheaper than slaves. Who do you think? And who does he think will have been running the machines? Yeah, and like the fact that like he would be the fact that he would say okay, but what do you think states' rights is, Beard Cream? Like, what do you? I can't reach that person. If we're not even watching, if we're not even talking in reality, what exactly am I supposed to say to somebody who believes the Earth is flat? Yeah, the states' rights to have slavery. What did you think that meant? Like, what are you talking about? And the fact that he said, "Oh, well, history is written by the victors." No. And then the ridiculous statement of saying, "Oh, that they were going to end slavery anyways after the war." What are you talking about? Then why have the war in the first place? Does that make sense? We'll go somewhere in Kentucky and see what they have to say about it. They'd be actually historically wrong. Its foundations are laid, its cornerstones rest upon the truth that the Negro is not equal to the white man, that slavery, subordination to the superior races, is a natural and normal condition. This, our new government, is the first in the world history based upon this great physical and philosophical and moral truth. Confederate Vice President Alexander Stephens. Yeah. I'm agreeing with you, then what's the deal? Like, okay, so when it comes to opposing views, like for me to have a conversation, you got to be built on reality. Okay, if I can't talk to you about the basic reality of what happened, and you continue to circle around saying the same thing over and over again, I can't do it. All right, it derails the stream. I'm a higher dimensional being. Anyways, so yeah, this totally happened. By PragerU. Here's the other video I wanted to go over. This one is more my how do I say this? My realm of what I like. Hot take: slavery was bad, and people who fought keep slavery should feel bad. Yeah, like what? Like yes, Stupka. We need to raise statues in memory of the people who fought to keep this alive. Yeah, sure. Oh man. So I have to go through this because this kind of really irked me.
You've heard a lot about big oil.
As someone who cares about the environment, yeah, absolutely, he was a traitor. PragerU is out of touch. They don't even realize it's conservative landlords producing most of the green energy. Shout out to the Gravel Institute. Yes, without the Gravel Institute, I didn't want to, I didn't realize that they posted this 2 minutes of cringe. Thanks for the sub, y'all lacking. Y'all lacking. Anytime anyone says big, I start to cringe. Oh, this one is cringy. This one is cringeworthy.
Big oil, big pharma, big tech, and all the other big bad players out there. I want to talk to you about the biggest, baddest one of them all.
The baddest one.
This
Hit me up.
Goliath doesn't deal in billions, it deals in trillions.
Trillions. Hit me up.
I'm talking about Big Green.
Big Green.
Yes, the environmental movement.
Oh
It's
no.
the richest, most powerful big in the world right now. Nothing else even comes close.
Nothing else.
Until we see it for what it is and rein it in, it's going to get even bigger. And as is usually the case, bigger is not always better. You see, Big Green wants to take over your life.
Over your
It
life,
has to.
guys.
This-
Big Green who wants to take over. We still don't know who Big Green is, by the way. But just in case we need any type of context of who this person is. Here he is disputing the elections. Getting retweeted by General Flynn, who is into conspiracy theories. Something about CCP. Something about Rhino. Republicans. GOP traders. Oh, anti-masker. So yeah, this is who we're dealing with. Just for context, right? I want to read all the people that wronged him. How many followers does he have? Too many. So this is who's doing this. 443,000 followers. Cool. If you're really sad when somebody calls themselves a patriot, or I disagree with most of their views. Yeah. How many are bots or foreign troll farmers? That's a good question. Anywho, yeah, that's who we're dealing with.
I'm talking about Big Green.
Big Green.
Yes, the environmental movement. It's the richest, most powerful big in the world right now. Nothing else even comes close. Until we see it for what it is and rein it in, it's going to get even bigger. And as is usually the case, bigger is not always better. You see, Big Green wants to take over your life.
Yep.
It has to.
It has to.
This makes perfect sense. Big Green, after all, intends to save the planet from oblivion. Your freedom would seem to be a small price to pay.
What?
To accomplish its mission, Big Green needs two things.
Okay, first of all, who is Big Green? Are you gonna sit here and tell us, or is this just like some ephemeral thing we're supposed to be scared of?
Money and power. It already has a lot of both, but it's hungry for much more. Who do we mean when we say Big Green?
Okay.
We mean the major organizations that set the agenda for the movement.
So they're not companies. You're talking about organizations? Because previously you referenced Big Oil. Big Oils are like companies. These are businesses.
This would include, among dozens, Greenpeace,
Oh.
350.org, Nature Conservancy, Sierra Club, World Wildlife Fund, and of course, the politicians, bureaucrats, corporations, and media outlets
So Big Green means anything that I want it to mean. Gotcha.
who support and promote their agenda. Before we get any deeper into this, let's stipulate a few things. The climate is changing. It appears, though we can't be sure, to be slowly warming.
Nope. 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 Sorry. There has been overwhelming scientific consensus that it absolutely is, number one, changing, number two is absolutely warming, and number three, it's absolutely being caused by humans. It's anthropogenic. Sorry, you're not going to get me with this one.
If it continues to warm, it could cause serious environmental problems sometime in the distant future.
Sometime in the distant future? Have you seen what's been happening across the planet? What are you talking about? Do you just live in a bubble? Did you not see the unprecedented fire seasons that we've been happening? Did you not see the unprecedented Siberian fires? Did you see that the Arctic reached 100 degrees? What are you talking about sometime in the future? Have you seen the unprecedented hurricane season that just happened where they almost basically started to run out of names? And it's weird because every season keeps to continues to push the limits, and every year is unprecedented. It's not some distant future. It's now. And we'll not just see natural disasters increase, but also other domino effects to climate change. We won't be able to grow food. Water will become a scarcity, so much so that they're banking on it in the next 5 to 10 years to 15 years, depending on the timeline. They're literally putting futures on water. They know it's going to get bad. They're betting on it. So don't tell me that it's sometime in the future.
Industrialization probably plays a role in this warming process.
Probably?
Reasonable people should be able to agree on this. Democrat leader Nancy Pelosi and Republican leader Newt Gingrich actually once sat down together and said as much in a public service ad they made in the 1990s. But Big Green has no interest in being reasonable. Reasonable doesn't get you money. Reasonable doesn't get you power. So let's talk about the money. Greenpeace, Nature Conservancy, World Wildlife Fund, and Sierra Club all have financial assets in the $100 to $300 million range. Name a Fortune 500 company, and chances are they're writing big checks to Big Green. Banking giant Citigroup, for example, has committed $100 billion to combat climate change.
And?
But the real money is at the government level. In 2009, the Obama administration directed more than $110 billion to be spent on renewable energy investments under the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act alone.
Yeah, and
what the
how good did that
got
do
for this investment, other than long-forgotten $500 million boondoggles like Solyndra, is hard to say. According to the best economic models, the Paris Climate Accord will cost the world $1 to $2 trillion every year. Total cost for the Green New Deal, $52 trillion, minimum. But money is only a means to an end. The end is power. The power to transform society into what they think it should be. That's what this is really about. Here's how Shoykat Chakrabarty, the architect of the Green New Deal, described it to the Washington Post. It wasn't originally a climate thing at all. We really think of it as a, how do you change the entire economy?
Yes.
Maybe.
Because, oh boy, because if you don't change as part of the solution to climate change, if you don't address the economic system, that we have right now, this is unsustainable. This consume. This, hey, Invincible Queer, how's it going? This economic system that is built on just pure consumption, pure planned obsolescence. It's not sustainable. I'm sorry. Doesn't even change we fund and consume everything that's good for the world. Yes, so obviously the economic system is definitely something that we have to address, but it isn't everything. I had my first article published. Nice. And yes, I did see your message. We will be rating to Tina. I will remember this time.
Maybe you like all this. That's fine. But don't pretend it's about protecting the environment.
That's right, Chai Bureaucrat.
Chakrabarty was being honest. You should be too. It's about transferring more and more power to the government at every level, federal, state, local. And the way to get the power is to gin up scary scenarios.
Scary
The planet
scenarios.
is burning.
Yes.
The seas.
It's scary scenarios. Like, ask California, ask the West, ask the Gulf Coast about scary scenarios. Jesus Christ. Want me to drop the article in chat so you can read it? Yeah, sure. Like, scary scenarios. What are you talking about? This is reality. I'm pretending that I want a fucking planet to live on and breathe them out. Yeah, imagine. Imagine.
Seas are rising. We're all going to be dead soon unless we listen to those masters of disaster, Al Gore, Bill McKibben,
What?
and Greta Thunberg.
Ah, yes, Al
And
Gore.
what have all their horror stories led to? A generation of young people who have nightmares about a planet burning up around them.
Because in some places, that's actually what's happening.
Poor people who pay higher energy bills than they need to because of massive subsidies for wind and solar power.
Nope. What? Okay, that is a straight up lie. You know how much massive subsidies the oil industry gets? Nowhere near. Nowhere near. Don't... You see, you can't BS me with this because it's just not true at all.
Millions of birds, including endangered ones,
Nope.
dying.
Nope, that's also not true. In fact, they did a study about that, and in fact, actually, it's very, very tiny percentage of birds that unfortunately get caught up in that. So the fact that this is a Donald Trump talking point, but it's actually not true. They actually did a study on this, and yeah.
Sliced to pieces by wind turbines. Yet in the midst of all the planet is burning fear-mongering, the world is cleaner, healthier, and richer than it has ever been.
There's the key.
Deaths from
Richer.
natural disasters are at all-time lows.
What does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with anything? What does death from natural disasters have to do with climate change? So this is... Okay, hold on. This is like saying, oh, well, COVID isn't a big deal because actually a death count isn't really that bad. What about other permanent future problems that you might have? What about the domino effects of you being, you taking up ICU units? Okay, so you don't understand what are you talking about? You do realize the domino effects of climate change, right? You can't grow food. You will have water scarcity within this lifetime if things continue. And what does those bring? Have you thought about what happens in the next 15 to 20 years? What do you think is going to happen when nations all of a sudden realize they can't grow food? People start growing hungry. Conflicts will happen. Either that or people start starving.
Here's why. Human beings adapt when faced with climate problems. We're really good at it.
Wait, so is it real or is it not real? Is it a problem or is it not a problem?
We've been doing it for thousands of years. Sea levels rising, build taller and better
Oh
sea
yeah,
walls.
I get it. We just build a bigger seawall. Cool. This is some phenomenal copium. This is some phenomenal levels of copium. Like honestly, this really does make me believe that some people are genuinely, like deep down, really worried about this to the point where they'll be psychologically closed off, and they will just say, well, it's not really a big deal, it's gonna affect us later, and just kind of have this like mental shutdown instead of realizing, hey, this is happening now. You need to start putting pressure on politicians to have the political will to actually do something now. Exactly, Lord Friedus.
That's what the Netherlands did. A good chunk of the country, including its international airport, is below sea level.
That doesn't make
Need
it
more
good.
water? Spread the gospel of drip irrigation and desalinization. Israel has more water than it needs, and it's in the middle of a desert. Need clean energy? Build more nuclear power plants.
Jesus Christ.
Sweden gets half of its energy from nuclear.
We can't just depend
None of
on
these
nuclear.
simple, practical solutions makes much of an impact on Big Green.
This
You don't
isn't
raise money off of common sense.
this isn't practical. This isn't practical. Thanks for the follow, Pico. This isn't practical or innovative. You need to move into a direction where you get rid of fossil fuels. Period. Yeah, well, nuclear can be a piece of the solution where you can't really get renewables, but the primary purpose should be trying to get renewables as much as possible. Thanks for the oh, did you gift another tier 1 sub? Thank you, Madame Defarge. Make the population more poor and miserable, reduce opportunities for... What are you talking about? I'm giving you more economic opportunities and more abilities for you to move up the social ladder. What are you talking about? This is the most backwards take I've ever heard. What a Weasley little liar, dude. What social ladder you can ever become rich? Interesting ladder. What are you talking about? Do you even know like what you're spewing? Like, okay, so here's what I propose to give yourself a much better chance of moving up the ladder. Give people the tools that they need to be their best self, right? You give them the tools that they need to be their best self, and that includes making sure people have food, housing, education, and healthcare. All right, that's how you do it. The only way you do that is with type of social programs. The only way to do that is to make sure you raise the floor. The only way to do that is through using these mechanisms. Okay, so yeah, you want to give people the best opportunity to be their best self. Give them food, housing, education, and healthcare. What better way to further yourself than to have access to education? What better way to further yourself than to not worry about the tens of thousands of debt for medical or for school? I mean, what better way to raise yourself up from not having to worry about a roof over your head? So don't talk to me about like being a programmer. I don't see many programmers complaining about wage inequality because the average income. This is so backwards. You make no sense. So what? Everybody should be a programmer? What are you talking about? What do you? This is everybody should just start their own small business meme. This is literally the meme. This is literally everyone should just start their own small business. Everyone should just be a doctor. Everyone should just be a programmer. Just learn the code, bro. They create more value than you. Hey, look, here's what I find valuable. It creates a lot of value in my life. Yeah, I know, but this person isn't arguing to make things better. This person is arguing like, oh, everybody should just be a programmer. Everybody should just be a doctor. Everybody should just be a small business owner, dude. Hashtag learn to mold. Anyways.
And you don't get political power telling people how good things are. And you certainly don't become famous by being calm.
Now, hold on. Just to be clear, I'm not saying that these people aren't valuable. Of course, they're absolutely valuable. All of these people are absolutely valuable. But the idea that everybody could just be a programmer or just be a small business owner is just be a doctor, bro, because they make like 5-6 figure salaries, bro. Just do that. What?
Big Green is not poor, not honest, and certainly not powerless. It's time we all plug into that truth.
Hey, and if you want that solution, damn, maybe people should have access to education so they can become programmers if they wanted to.
I'm Rogan O'Hanley, aka DC Drano, for Prager University.
What? Okay, so did anybody understand a single word of that? Because I honestly didn't. It was a very like be scared of Big Green, and Big Green can mean anything from politicians to an organization. And yeah, so anyways, climate change doesn't exist. We should probably continue to poison our air, poison our waters and our oceans. Yeah, that's basically what I got from this video. He made multiple false claims about climate change, downplayed it, and then like in the same video saying, "Well, it might be a problem." I mean, it was just gibberish, right? Prager you, everybody. But the dead the dead birds, that one got me because that's not even true. So if education was free, do you think that most Americans would utilize it to better themselves and the country as a whole? Probably. Most likely. I'm not saying everybody would take advantage of it, but it's there. And it would be cheaper. So yeah. So more people would have that opportunity. Statistically speaking, more Americans would utilize that. And statistically speaking, more educated people make the country economically better and just as a whole better. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly, B-Boy. How many birds die in oil spills? True. More than they do in windmills, that's for sure. And can you imagine, like, these are some fantastic figures that he threw out. Hot take: education is free, people don't use it. What are you talking about? Education is not free. In terms of higher education to get into a college or university, it's not free. It actually costs a lot of money. Some people are in tens of thousands of dollars of debt. That shouldn't be a thing. Education doesn't matter as much as credentials. Maybe, but how do you get those credentials? Do you know that big green companies are worth $100 million, though? That is a lot compared to my salary, so that is scary. I just think it's weighing a lot of people that actually want to do better. You could have everyone join the military, which is free college. Nope. Why would you force somebody to join the military to get free college? What kind of solution is that? Come on. Come on. Or you could just make tuition-free college instead of forcing people to join the military? So we're not talking about the action, but a piece of paper. Do you want to learn stuff? You maybe or may not have to die to get it. That's true. Society does value that piece of paper. And you get a grant, not even free college, right? And you may or may not like be able to collect on that depending, God forbid you don't come back. All right. Man, some really, really backwards takes today. Y'all need to go check out the People's Herald, right? I'm pretty sure Ben would like this. There are many issues to be had. This is written by Kez. This is an opinion piece. The biggest problem with the BBC. There are many issues to be had with the BBC, as proven by many petitions that have been going around since 2017, calling for the revocation of the Royal Charter. For example, BBC is the only company allowed to actively harass a British resident if they think that person is using their service without paying for it. Licensing fees are exorbitant without it, which is illegal to watch any live TV, but it's also supposed to pay for all the stations. It goes straight to the BBC. It's essentially a tax on cable TV. Cringe. Cringe. So I don't care. This is America. I don't care if they have to spend 2 years in the military in Israel or China or in any other country. Like, what kind of, again, that's not an argument. That's not an argument. Dangling a possibility to better yourself with education, in the sense of like, hey, you may or may not come back from this. Who knows? Is absurd. Yeah, exactly. Let's coerce high school dropouts with bad grades and poor prospects to join the military so armed forces consist of the most desperate. Yeah, just like we're doing now. Maybe they could get structure from free school. It's a possibility, Stupka. That's why we should offer it. That's true. It's just is easier and more simple. It's just easier and more simple to get a tuition-free college system and just let the people who want to better themselves have that opportunity. Anywho, there's also a problem they fall into fairly frequently. That's off and that of false balance. The real charter and agreement of BC has to stick by and maintain their fund states in need of balance and impartiality. Interesting. So, what would be the fairness doctrine? This need for impartiality has often led to false balance being struck out of fear, where the BBC will platform conspiracy theories while discussing climate change and transphobes when discussing trans issues. Okay, this triggers me. Okay, having a discussion about a subject when there's already like a consensus absolutely triggers me. Despite the harm these things can cause, are not the largest problem within the BBC, nor is it the apparent legal right to arrest residents. In December of this year, BBC decided to nominate J.K. Rowling. Nice. For the Russell Award. The Russell Award is a literature award for short essays based upon their prose. The criteria describes language, erudition, and moral force, while the media editor J.K. Rowling, nominated for his consideration for the Russell Award, claimed that her use of the language in her essay was powerful prose. What it mostly contained was repeatedly debunked transphobic arguments that achieved nothing but scaremonger those among us who don't understand what transgender means. This means not only did they fall into the language criterion, but This means not only did it not fall into the language criterion, but it didn't fall into the erudition criterion either. And quite frankly, you can claim impartiality until the cows come home, but referring to transphobia as having moral force exposes such claims as a farce. So outrageous was the nomination of J.K. Rowling's deeply transphobic blog that the blog post at the head of Ofcom, the UK's media regulator, described it as extremely inappropriate. The BBC has yet to post a piece written by a trans person disagreeing with the decision of media editor Amal Rajan to award her third place and praise her work despite potential legal ramifications. Oof. Not quite, and quite frankly, I'm not expecting one. The BBC can claim impartiality as much as they wish, and they should be impartial according to the Royal Charter, but it seems it's a purposeful lie. While the right may attack the BBC for having left-wing bias, it's inaccurate as most right-wing arguments. The bias of the BBC is well hidden and often disguised with seemingly progressive lip service, but after years of watching them do this, it's clear the bias exists. They side with the loudest voices on queer issues. Unfortunately, these voices can also be bigoted ones. Interesting. I didn't know that about the BBC. I mean, this is kind of like what we had an issue when the fairness doctrine was kind of like eliminated. It's pretty bad. Like, you can't feign. And again, this is the whole thing, right? Oh man, this irks me. This irks me right here. You can't have a both sides when there's like scientific consensus about something, right? That irks me. Yeah, it is disgusting. Exactly. Exactly, Polymorpheus. The idea that you should be again, your education should be dangled in front of you like a carrot by the military is absurd, okay? We need no. We need to let flat earthers spread their brain rot. Right, but both sides, right? Exactly, Mono. Jesus. That never fit. That doesn't fit well with me, okay? This is a great piece. Everybody should be checking out the People's Herald. Exactly. We can help kids without doing it on the condition that they join an armed fighting force on behalf of a nation that helps maintain their disadvantaged position in the first place. Thanks for the follow, Dirtbag. How's it going, my friend? Exactly. This isn't a hard concept to grasp. You shouldn't be pressured into a dangerous environment just to get the chance to prosper. Like, no, that's unacceptable. Sorry. I'm hanging out here. I'm chilling. Oh, okay. You volunteered to go in Iraq and possibly put yourself into a very, very precarious situation multiple times. And that shouldn't be the only way you should be able to better yourself. The only way you should have access to education. Sorry. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is you shouldn't be a carrot of higher education shouldn't be dangled in front of you by forcing you to join the military. Just make it a universal system, some type of universal system where you can get tuition-free college, tuition-free higher education. Okay, but you don't need to be talking about how it should be that way. Thanks for the follow, Boyd. Is it Boy Kid? Boy Kid? I don't know if I got that one right. Thank you, Madame Defarge. Anyway, Prager Poo, at it again. Whew. That was cringe. Roger Stone says he met with President Trump discussing how to ensure he continues as our president. Oh man, the copium. That's right, Halcyon. That's right, Halcyon. In fact, Bleep Blop Ben is a vet. Okay? So if you want people to be treated much better, don't you think people should have food, housing, education, and healthcare? That's not dependent on whether or not you join the military. If you really want to improve people's lives, don't you think that they should have these things? Because that's the milquetoast position. That's the milquetoast position, advocating for basic things to make sure people have a specific standard of life isn't a wild radical idea, right? I just don't know how you can make that happen. What are you talking about? All we need is the political will. It seems to me like other countries have already figured this out. Like, what exactly can we not do here? We can definitely do a type of universal healthcare. We can definitely do a program for government housing. We already have food stamps. We already have food stamps, so we have a system to provide food. Why don't we expand it? Why don't we make sure that everybody has food and nothing goes to waste? I mean, we waste metric tons of food all the time. Why is this like a hard concept? Why is this like 30% of food is wasted? Right. So like what exactly is the problem here? I mean, unless you just don't want to do any of this, that's again lack of political will. Exactly, man. Can we convince people to do shit jobs for pay if their food and healthcare were given to them? Well, they would actually be able to live. It's like, so basically the argument is you do believe that their job needs to be done, you just don't believe that they should be compensated properly. Is what I would say to that, Mono. So you believe their jobs need to exist. You believe that their jobs are valid, you just don't want to pay them the right salary, or you just don't want to give them the benefits they deserve. Politicians are the problem here? Yeah, the political will to do anything. Of course, we have our part to play. And that includes organizing, that includes getting people aware of these issues, getting things like healthcare in the forefront. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Let's call the CIA and get the manual for this. Uh-oh. No, but honestly, yeah, that's how you solve it. You get political will. The only way you get political will is to organize and get people aware of these issues and push. Has our wonderful, gracious, dear leader said anything about this Nashville bombing? We still don't know much information. Nope. Not a single word. All he's talking about is election fraud. Yeah, that's crazy, Halsey. Wow. No. Even had the garbage collectors go on strike in your neighborhood, it only takes a short time to see how bad it... Yeah. That's true, Doodle Muffin. Is to cut off all funding from politicians. Well, yeah, of course. Moving in the direction of getting money out of politics is definitely a step in the right direction. Absolutely. There should be no reason why huge corporations should be able to essentially create slush funds to politicians for effectively political favors, legal bribes, right? It creates a system, it creates this system that has become so unsustainable. It's going to risk of collapsing if it doesn't get turned around, if it doesn't change. Wow, Halcyon. As soon as my city privatized trash collection, you immediately saw a drop in services, missing cans regularly, and throwing trash all over the herb. Yeah, so obviously there are certain things that, and this is what I advocate for. There are certain things that the government should be taking care of, and there are certain things that, you can argue that there might be a reason why a market can do its thing. Like, for example, the microphones, right? Microphones have a market for that. When it comes to people's lives, people's safety, which includes food, housing, education, and healthcare, these are already inherently broken in terms of trying to privatize these things. It doesn't work the same way. It just doesn't, okay? There's plenty of market failures that go into healthcare. Privatizing education. I mean, there's inherent market failures, even in the housing market. Yeah, this is all easy things that could just be solved by saying, okay, we're going to develop a plan to make sure that people have these things. Right, 7%. That's wild. Politicians get money on top of benefits like healthcare, food, and so so they technically don't need a salary. That's true. They don't need a salary because they're already on super welfare. Super welfare. I think that all the politicians should be made to live off $1,800 for 10 months without any access to any other assets, and see how quickly they change their mind. They should just be thrown out and made to live on $1,800 for 10 months with no access to any additional funds, no access to any no access to any assets. Start from scratch. That's right. Don't forget to make them pay their healthcare market fines. Exactly. They'll figure it out, right? And make them live in this current system for 10 months with all but $1,800 to their name, without any type of alternative access. Why can we not elect a normal person, not a career politician or millionaire? Well, that's an us problem, don't you think? America bought Donald Trump's con, right? America bought Donald Trump's con because the system has already let them down so much that they turned to somebody who was giving them what they wanted to hear. Whether or not he actually delivered is a whole other thing of it. I want to run for president? I'm not actually eligible. I actually legitimately cannot run. I'm under 35. Vice president. Oh man, that would be awesome. Nice name recognition is a major issue. That's another thing. Like, it's all about name recognition too. Ugh. Oh yeah, that's right, Polymorpheus. Jeez, I forgot my civics class already. That's right. No, I'm not eligible. Not eligible, unfortunately. Yeah, see, that doesn't get you elected. Experience is worth a lot. Yes, that's true. Like, for example, good point. Good point. Bernie Sanders is a career politician, and generally speaking, he does work in his capacity to try to do things for the people, right? He was there trying to fight for stimulus for the people, right? Yeah, that's a career politician. He's been doing what he could within his purview. I have to go. I hope you have a wonderful day in chat as well. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate that, boy kid. Bernie's record has always been consistent. Yeah, pretty much. At least for the most part, yeah. I don't never really had much gripe. And that's why even people who are on the quote-unquote more conservative side, even they respect Bernie's consistency, whether they agree with him or not. Well, it depends on what type of experience you're talking about. I mean, you kind of need to know how the system works to get anything done, don't you think? Like, Bernie is a career politician, and his experience has allowed him to do what he can within his purview to make things happen, right? Like, for example, that's the only reason we're even talking about $2,000 stimulus checks or even $600. I do question his job guarantee program, though, as I never saw a full rollout of the policies he would use to achieve it. I think he was like leaning more towards like the Green New Deal, where he would revamp infrastructure to make it like, you know, the entire infrastructure to be green and move into a more renewable situation, which would essentially create the jobs programs, right? Because you need people to actually roll this out. And I think that's what it was. Exactly, Madame Defarge. Would you be hired as a job as CEO if you had no industry experience? Right, you just have life experience, qualified. He's not learning how to do anything. Look at Trump; he was a disaster. That's kind of why you don't want that. What are you talking about? It's the argument against it. It's the complete argument against it. You're making my point. Yeah, sorry, you're making Madame Defarge's point for her, for them. Anyway, folks, it is about to be 11:30. I do gotta get going. I do appreciate everybody hanging out. Thank you all for all the wonderful support. Thank you, Benjamin Dixon, for the raid. Thank you for all the new follows. Thank you for all the subscriptions, Madame Defarge. Thank you for the subscription, Yalaking. I really appreciate all of you guys. Thank you for all the new follows. You guys are what makes this go. And if you guys enjoy the channel, please make sure you follow. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button on YouTube. It really does help us out. I appreciate all of you guys doing here. We're gonna head over to Tina's. She's doing a charity stream, so please go show Tina_2 some love. We're gonna go ahead and head on over there, guys. Thank you so much. Again, I'll be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. doing news and politics as always. Please take care of each other. Please stay safe. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next stream. See ya! Alright, folks. Thank you. You have an awesome day. Thank you, Alio. Alright, folks, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, here we go.